Welcome back to CBA Digital Network's version of First Take. Today, we're going to be talking about the NCAA men's basketball tournament, specifically the Final Four. I'm Chris Height, joined by Connor Dugan and Ben Prudian, and we're going to go through each of the two matchups and see what their predictions are, and then eventually talk about the championship. In the Final Four, it is UConn up against Miami on one side, and San Diego State is playing Florida Atlantic University on the other. First, we'll start with Connor, talking about the UConn-Miami matchup. Connor, what do you think of this one?
Well, when it comes to Miami, Chris, they've got wins versus Drake, Indiana, a big win against Houston, and then obviously as recently as Texas in the Elite Eight. At least 80 points in their last 3 games. They've exceeded expectations in this tournament. Many were kind of skeptical of how they would do. They made it to the ACC final, so they were hot coming into the tournament, but still many were skeptical. They're an undersized team. According to ESPN, they have 4 guards, listed in the starting lineup. They're all listed as guards with 1 forward. Orchad Omier is their biggest guy at 6'7", but he does help out as he rebounds like he's a 7-footer. So he has been a beast in the paint. Isaiah Wong, the New Jersey native, ACC Player of the Year, has been carrying them so far this year. But they struggle behind the arc. But they've come this far and they've worked hard. This is their game to lose. They have everything they need, but it's going to be a tough task against UConn. Jordan Miller and Nigel Pack are huge contributors on this offense. But ultimately, I just don't think it's enough to beat UConn. When it comes to UConn, they're just a great all-around team. Wins versus Iona, St. Mary's, Arkansas, and a huge win against Gonzaga in the last game. And obviously, while the competition isn't nearly as much as, say Miami, who had big wins against, say, Texas and Indiana, but UConn won all of these games by more than 15 points, including a 28-point win against Gonzaga. So they are riding high right now. I mean, this is their game to lose. They had an up and down season, very rocky. When it came to they were as high as number 2 in the AP poll, and then they lost 5 out of 6, kind of brought them down. They've been up and down the whole year, as high as number 2 in the AP poll. But then they lost 5 out of 6. So, in my opinion, they're much more deserving of a 4 seed. Just simply a great all-around team and one of the best teams in this tournament. From the start when it comes to transition offense. While Adama Sanogo, Hassan Diarra, and Samson Johnson, they will all be observing for Ramadan on Saturday. So they will be without food and liquids for the game, which might have an effect on them physically, but I think mentally and spiritually it might help them. This is where their faith comes into play. But UConn, this is their tournament to lose, and they have the potential to win it all.
Sure. Now, Ben, before we switch over to the other side of the Final Four, do you agree with Connor on this? UConn on top of Miami?
Yeah, I think UConn's the most dominant team left in the tournament. Obviously, they're 15-plus point wins against all these teams. Obviously, I think Miami has beaten better teams. Indiana, 4 seed, Houston, a 1 seed, and Texas, a 2 seed. So Miami has had harder wins and harder competition, but ultimately UConn and the dominance they've shown, especially versus Gonzaga last game, I have UConn winning, so I'll agree with Con on that one.
Yeah, the Miami staff, inexperienced. The UConn staff, they've been here before. Yeah. UConn has a proud tradition of dominance in this men's program. So,
I always root for the underdogs. So now, Ben, give us the matchup and what you think of San Diego State versus Florida Atlantic University.
Yeah, Chris, I think this game is going to be the best one out of both of them. I think FAU, known for their high-powered offense so far in this tournament, and SDSU, known for their defense. So they're the best defense left in the tournament, one of the best defense in college basketball. One thing that stuck out to me was last game, they made 3 three-pointers, while you have over at FAU side, they made 10. So FAU is averaging almost 15 more three-point shots than SDSU, and that shows me that FAU definitely has the better offense all around the perimeter. They have 4 shooters, and they have 1 guy, 1 big center. His name is Golden. He's dominant in the paint. Last game, he had 14 points, 6 rebounds, but then when he goes up against a really high-powered defense and an interior defense, like Tennessee a couple games ago, he had 3 points. So I think their interior he's not going to do damage against this kind of defense, so I think it's all going to come around the shot. The shooting from Janelle Davis, who's the team leader, Elijah Martin, he's averaging 13 a game, and if they're not on point with their threes, I think SCU is going to blow them out of the park. So I don't think they're going to find a lot down low. I think SDU just has size advantage, obviously, and I think FAU will come out. Obviously, you saw that Kansas State coach coming to the locker room saying,
I was just going to say Jerome Tang coming in.
He's never seen a tougher team than this. They're going to go all the way. And I really do think FAU, and I'm not just saying this, but they're one tougher team. Like, I've seen them play every single game this tournament, and they just don't give up. Like, I personally think SCU has the worst offense left in the tournament. I think they have the best defense, but people say defense wins championships, and that's what they're proving right now. You know,
they slow the game down.
Yeah,
they definitely have that tough defense. Their offense is a little lackluster, but we've seen them slow the game down. That's how they've gotten this far, is their defense.
Yeah,
so.
and I mean the whole team's to 27% from three. So if they can do that versus FAU, they're going to beat them by 20 plus. Like if they can hold FAU to below 30% from three, because there's going to be a lot of 3-point shots from FAU, they're going to blow them out of the park. But I think FAU, their transition offense is good. Nobody spaces the floor better than them, in my opinion, with the offense they run. So I think FAU is going to beat San Diego State and completely upset and go to the national championship.
Yeah, I have to agree. San Diego State's been here before. They got a lot. It's theirs. This is theirs to lose. FAU's got nothing to lose. The 9 seed coming into this. But people forget they had a phenomenal season, 34-3. They lost 3 times. This team's been together, a bunch of seniors, and like you said, they shoot well behind the arc. But like you said, Jerome Tang coming into that FAU locker room after that game and telling them, you guys are the toughest team we've ever played, this season, and this is your tournament, to win. So, I think if San Diego State can kind of lock them up behind the arc, they might have a chance, as their defense is great. But if FAU is clicking early from 3, I think they're gonna be moving on.
Yeah, like I said, if they just lock them up from 3, and SDSU could find their big man download, Nathan Mensah, and he can have a big game, easily they're going to beat them. But I think FAU is going to get around them. So.
Alrighty, well, I think all 3 of us can mutually agree. The Final Four is situational basketball. You got to hit those threes. You got to play well. Everyone has bad games, but this is the time to play a great game, obviously, right before the NCAA championship. So now we're going to move on to our predictions for the NCAA championship, which both Ben and Connor have predicted FAU versus UConn. So Connor, who's coming out on top? Who's going to be the national champion this year?
I think we have UConn over FAU. They're the best overall team in this tournament. They do everything right. Transition offense, good defense. They rebound well. They're just a tough team. Good. They have the better coaching. So I think UConn's coming out on top for this one.
Ben?
I really want to say FAU, but I just don't think there's a team that can beat UConn. Really, with Adama, I don't think anybody can stop Adama Sunogo. He is by far the best center in the league. He's going to go to the NBA. Like he's just such a dominant player. I think he's going to score 20 plus in these next 2 games, and I think UConn's going to beat FAU in the championship. I really want FAU to win it, but I don't think any team could beat UConn right now.
I also think that huge win against Gonzaga is going to be a game that people kind of talk about, when we look back on this. Because if UConn does end up winning, which I think we all can agree they might, they have a very good shot at. I think people are going to look back on that Elite Eight Gonzaga game and realize that was kind of what set them apart. Beating a good Gonzaga team, Drew Timme.
You don't beat a team by 28 in the Elite Eight.
No,
this doesn't happen.
And especially Gonzaga.
Yeah,
and while there is that myth that Gonzaga just doesn't show up in the tournament, Gonzaga's still a respectable team.
Yeah,
exactly. So they made it this far. They had a great year, right? So Gonzaga coming that far, and then you blow them out by 28 on the biggest stage in the Elite Eight.
Yeah,
I think that's going to be a game that people talk about that kind of helped UConn get to that next level.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, I think we're all rooting for FAU, but the general digital network opinion and prediction is UConn winning the national championship. So, guys, before we sign off, anything else you'd like to tell the viewers at home about, the tournament, your thoughts on the tournament as overall? I mean, it's been a pretty crazy tournament.
It's been an awesome tournament, but go Huskies.
Go Huskies.
I think a lot of people predicted it to be most upsetful.
We knew this coming in.
ever.
You know, we honestly we knew this coming in that it was going to be kind of similar to 2021, where you weren't sure what was going to happen with the COVID year. This is kind of a similar deal. You know, there wasn't really a dominant team this year. We saw the top 25 changing on, you know, a very regular basis. There were so many different.
And these
one
games
seeds.
can go either way.
Tennessee, UNC starting off as the number 1 seed, Alabama in there, Houston. It was messy.
Yeah.
You know, so this was really this was up for grabs. And you know, we saw teams like Kansas, Kentucky, all going out early. So Duke, we all thought Duke I thought Duke was going to make the Final Four.
Same.
You know, they were peaking at the right time, but
Yeah.
a crazy tournament. But here we are: UConn, FAU, SDSU, and Miami in the Final Four.
Mass pandemonium in March. That's why I love the month. So we're going to sign off now. So for Connor Dugan and Ben Prudian, I'm Chris Height. We'll see you next time here at CBA Digital Network First Take.